Hello, this video is intended for users of Topaz Studio, and this is an image I made that has some popularity, so I thought I'd show you how to make that from this. What's attractive about using this photograph in the first place is that we have a light colored car against a mostly darker background, a blue car against a mostly other colored background. And I like the room with some texture around the car that we can use in the final image, as you see again here. So the first step is to duplicate that image because I want to be able to always go back to my original. If possible, I'd like to duplicate it again. That way I have even more elbow room, because I know as soon as I start making changes to this, that this frame is going to be different from the original. So my first adjustment is going to be a black and white conversion. And I'm going to get rid of the tones that are red, meaning I'm going to decrease their luminescence. That's basically what this slider is in a black and white conversion, like putting on a colored filter on your camera. We're getting rid of reds, and if you see this car that's in the background that is reddish orange and has yellow flames, if we want it to be dark, we just do this. And what I'm trying to do is increase the contrast from this car to everything else in it. And we want the car to be lighter, so why not bring up the brightness of the aquas and the blues, and then bring down the purples in case there's any of those, and bring down the magentas. That's the best we can do here, other than perhaps using some of these other things. But let's just stick with that and go to Adjustments and Tone Curves. Now, to really make this just black and just white, to get exclusion of the background, what I can do is take these sort of light tones and make them white, take these dark tones and make them black. How do we do that? With the tone curve. And at the bottom left represents blackest black, and the upper right is whitest white, and everything else in between are midtones. So if I want to make these grayish tones disappear in the car, I can drag this handle to bring the whiteness more and more up. And if I go too far, I can back it off. And if I want to bring the blacks up to get rid of the midtones that were over here, I can drag that left handle over, and the more I drag it, the more of this background I'm getting rid of. Unfortunately, I'm also getting rid of my tires and my foreground here that I'd like to keep, but we can bring that back in later. Here I am dragging the whites up a little more, and you can see now my windshield is nice and white. And that's now the two arrows overlap. It means we have only black and only white. So this is going to be the basis of our mask. I click Apply. Now I'm going to bring in a color layer. I'm going to bring black as my color. I'm going to click on Add a Mask. And now you notice there's a hamburger menu up here and a hamburger menu down here, which can get confusing at times. So if we make an error, hopefully we catch it. I'm clicking on Luma. Luma is going to make a mask from the background layer by clicking on the black area. That is going to stay black, and this is going to stay white. And we're going to be happy with that mask. We can refine it later. I'm going to add an image layer that I can drag this image onto of the car. And then I'm going to add a color layer again in black because that's what we want to substitute, and click OK. So what we want our mask to do is to reveal this black overlay only where we don't want to see things, and reveal completely the car. So I'm going to bring this color overlay all the way up so you can see the magic happen. I'm going to come up to the color overlay layer, click on the mask, go down to the hamburger menu of that mask and say copy mask. And then I'm going to scroll down to our color overlay, click on mask, click on the hamburger menu of the mask and click paste. Now it looks a little odd because what's happening is the white is letting through our black only where it's white, and where there's black it's not letting it through. So that's the opposite of what we want. So we go up to invert mask, and now we have what we were looking for. There are some areas such as the windshield and this area and around here that we need to clean up, and we can do that with brushes. So if I want to get rid of this windshield, for example, I'm going to click on the white brush, go over to the windshield, and it's counterintuitive, I know, but where I paint with a white brush, we're going to get our black overlay to show through. And so you want to adjust softness, radius. Sometimes you actually need to shut off edge awareness when you get close to the close edges of the car that we're trying to keep in order to preserve the edges without fuzziness, because these are smart brushes. All right, so I'm just giving you a rough idea now. That we would be able to get in here really closely and take our time to get rid of the background. But the other thing is that in our car itself and the pavement, we want to restore those areas. And so what we have to do is take a black brush. The black brush, when we paint it, is going to hide the black overlay area. So here I'm grabbing my black brush. You can see mask transparency is all the way at the black end. And when I paint with that, it reveals the tires. I can see some parts here with the grill and stuff that I'd like to bring back in, and some of the pavement, the back tire, and the windshield. And just going over the image roughly here to make sure that we're all good. And if we need to see that mask a little better. So you get the idea. We're painting in the car with a black brush. Same thing with the pavement, and we're painting out the rest with a white brush to bring the black back in. And so now I'm going to go around with a softer black brush to bring back in more of our pavement and transition it a little more for our final workflow. Like so. And that's probably good enough for teaching, and we're going to click apply. Now we're ready to start working on the car itself. So want to get back to this point, duplicate your layer just in case. So adjustment, and then what I'm going to do is go into detail, because I really want to emphasize some of the structure of this car. The difference between subtle areas of contrast or lines is brought out by small detail, and that's going to pop the cloud reflections in the windshield, and I could even take up the boost, but sometimes that brings out too much noise. So I think I'm just going to take the small detail up like that, the medium detail, and it's really starting to snazz this image a bit, and then the large detail to taste, and that's pretty sharp looking now. And then I'm going to apply that, and then I'm going to go into a basic correction. You can just type basic correction in, and I don't want the full effect, so I take the effect opacity down to where I like it, and I apply that, and then I like HDR Color. So let's see if we can find that. HDR Color. Let's zoom into 100% and see what we're seeing. And you know, just adjust it to your taste. I probably would have masked away some of this color here. And then I think I had put on a little neon glow, like blazing neon, and just bring the effect way down. You can blur it a little if you want, but it just puts a little more color into these clouds up in here, and the reflections. I'd probably bring it down a little more than that even. I want it to be a subtle effect, and say OK. And then the last thing is to put a texture on it, and I have one here that is in the pack called Grunge and Light, but I really don't want the light leaks that are in here. So over here there's 1, 2, 3 different textures too, which are really just for light leaks, so we're going to get rid of the 2 light leak ones. Oop. Bring that back. By clicking on the garbage can, and now I've got a texture here, which again I'm going to bring down to a more reasonable level. Even that might be a bit much when we go high def. And that's almost the finished product. We could probably get rid of some of this here. Let's apply what we have and try a little healing brush to get rid of our manhole cover. See how that works. Not bad. Probably should have done that ahead of time. And then I'm going to click Done and drop in my signature. Size it appropriately. And click Screen for the blending mode. And click Apply. And that is it. So everything done in Topaz Studio. I did not spend a long time refining all these edges here with the mask because of time constraints. We're already up to 15 minutes. And a little bit of last cleanup around the edges of the car I did offline. And there's your final product. Hope you enjoyed it.